The wall paint that I had started to go with and the white on the floor, I'm just not feeling it. So I think it's time to rethink it. Hey everybody, thanks for being patient while we've been away for a few weeks here at Blue Jay Acres. I have more video footage coming for you. Today my focus is to get this bathroom done, and that means painting the ceiling, the walls, and I want to cut and measure for the crown molding that I'm putting in here. You won't see that on this video because I'm actually going to have to edit all of the work that I've done in the past 3 weeks and get that posted for you coming up in this video. So this is just kind of leading you into that so you can see what we've been doing. And I will get the finishing touches on this bathroom probably in the next video in a few days. So I appreciate everybody's patience. We've had some sickness, we've had some bad weather, I haven't been able to get out to do stuff, and oh my Lord, work has been crazy. So I haven't had a lot of time. So the great thing is we're coming up on summer, well, spring anyway, and the days are getting a little bit longer. Every day I look and see that we have sunshine out until 6:15 or 6:20 or going on 6:30, and it just makes me more encouraged when I see that. So hopefully you all are doing great. I'm gonna get to showing you some of this other footage while I get some glasses and a mask, because in this bathroom I do need to sand all the walls down a little bit and the ceiling just to make sure that the paint adheres to it. So I'm gonna work on that, and here's some things we did over the course of the past week. All right, so that'll do for now, but I think some of that bedding, because we got rain in there, is about ready to go. So I might have to change that out this weekend. We'll see if we can get that squeezed in and get the kids to help. In a little bit, I'll come back in here and I will do the taping on the wall and then mud that. And that way that can then dry overnight and I can do a little bit more work on it tomorrow. While I wait on those shelves to dry, I figured I would come in here and start working on the floor. I'm gonna show you that here in just a second. I'm using a nylon brush to really scrub the floor good before I do anything else with it. And it still doesn't quite look clean. So I thought I would give a shot to these grout pins just to see if it works. And I don't have high expectation. Noelle said she's had some success with these in the past, so I ordered one off Amazon, and I'm going to show you here, I guess, what it looks like. So the room doesn't have really good light, but you can see clearly where I have done the grout pin and where I haven't, just from the difference. That is not a reflection in the floor. That is literally just the difference between, I didn't scrub this yet. I have scrubbed right here. And this is where I use the grout pin to fill in the grout. All right, guys, so I put a little more effort into the floor last night, and I have to say the wall paint that I had started to go with after I did half a dozen different shades of a tan, that and the white on the floor, I'm just not feeling it. So I think it's time to rethink it. So I did what anybody that doesn't want to go to the store right now to pick out paint samples would do, right? I printed out a bunch of color swatches using the Glidden example from the internet, and I did color swabs. These color swabs were actually inspired by some of the comments that were left for me, and I went out and I looked at some of the Pinterest ideas that were sent. Then once we actually come with what we think we're going to go with, I'll take the color square that I did here and take that into a Home Depot and color match it against the color swatches that they have. And when I find that match, then I can have them go ahead and make the paint, and I get in and out in one trip, because I have the color we're looking for. So I don't need to know exactly what these colors are, because I can just color match them in the store. But I want to show you the floor. So I honestly think once I did the white grout tile, and this is no fault of the grout pin, none at all, but once I did the grout pin on the floor in white, it kind of looks like I just poured white paint all over the floor. So let me see if I can get that for you. So ignore my scrub brush over there on the side. It just bleeds white, and it just looks like I poured white paint all over the floor. I don't know if you can tell or not, but this tile, the ceramic tile on the side for the baseboard, actually has a little bit more of a browny, yellowish brown kind of tint, kind of an almond. So I want to make sure whatever gray I go with kind of accents with that, and then I'm thinking maybe a light gray ink in between here. I ended up ordering a winter gray color for the floor, and this is what the before looked like. I really am impressed. The after turned out looking great. I'm really happy with it. I think it was a good choice. This bathroom used to support a heater as well, as everything else in it. And so the heater's been disconnected, the best I can tell, and I'll show you the circuits here in a second. And I basically just had 3 light switches in here, one feeding the overhead 3 light above the vanity, and then I've got one over here that I showed you in a previous video, where basically I did the Newtone ceiling fan and its light, and those were separate switches. And so I've got a configuration change I'm going to do in here. I don't know if I can show you the configuration very well inside the box, but basically what I have is I've got my feed coming in. I use my pen. I have my feed coming in here and leaving. I found out this room and the bedroom next door share the same feed. This feed here, based on how I can trace it back to this red light switch, that is the one that feeds the overhead light for the vanity. The one at the end down here, you'll see that's actually 4 wires. I've got my neutral, I've got my ground, and then my red and my black here, and that is because the red supplies power to the ceiling fan and the black is supplying power to the actual light itself inside the ceiling fan assembly. And that leaves this one in the middle here, right back in here. And so when I was looking at that, I thought it looked a little odd, and sure enough, back in here, they clipped the hot line. So they left the white wire connected, they left the neutral connected, but they clipped the black wire right out of its casing and just left it exposed. So I'm guessing that was for the baseboard heat that used to be in this bathroom. So that will not be reconnected. I'm going to take that out. And then those of you that are looking at this may be noticing a couple issues here, and you would be absolutely correct. I got a little black spot in this wire. Oh, by the way, this little tiny wire goes to the electric powered smoke detector on the other side, because the first thing I noticed was that's not a wire for code, and sure enough that just feeds that on the outside. And then these wires right here, you'll notice a couple black marks right here. You notice the black mark in this wire, and the best I can tell, the way they've got all these neutral wires grounded together, one of these was getting superheated. And it could have been recent, it could have been eons ago before they ever cut the baseboard heat out. I have no way to know, but it melted the jacket on the white wire on at least 3 of these lines. So I'm going to try to get in there, and I'll do some heat shrink tube over those, because I don't believe I can clip the bad section out because it's going to make the line too short. And God knows I can't fish a new line through the wall to where it's going to feed. So I will make it safe before I put everything back together. My plan in here is to, I'm going with white fixtures, so bear with me, but I'm replacing with a commercial grade standard flip switch for the vanity lights. That'll replace the black one that's in there. Then I'm going to this switch, which was actually made for Newtone fans. So this is I would assume spec'd out for the ceiling fan, because it's for the same company, Newtone Braun, whichever. And one will be the ceiling fan and one will be the light. And then because this is no longer feeding, this is where I'm going to deviate just a little bit. We very rarely need power in the bathroom, but when you do, you kind of do. So I will wire in a GFCI outlet in the 3rd position. And of course I got a 3 outlet gang cover to go and put over this when I'm done. So we're going to give this a go, and it should go fine. I'm going to have to mess with the wiring a little bit to make sure it all gets in there correctly, and clean this up a little bit. So it's going to take a little bit. I'll get some video of that for you. I think I got basically taken it out, but I'll get some video of that for you as I try to get it all reconfigured and then show you with it all put back together. One of the other nice things with this paddle switch is with these existing switches, I've got tied into the same junction point here a feed for the power line for those. And of course then each one feeds out independently. So my two blacks going in, my black and my red coming out. Yeah, and that's interesting because that black line is nicked right there too. I don't know if that melted through or not. I'm sure you can't see it, but there's definitely a nick in the casing on that. So kind of glad I got in here. But when all is said and done, this is actually designed, if I can show you that, but this switch is actually designed so there's my two poles coming out. One will be fan, one will be light. I haven't decided which one I wanted to be where, light on top or switch on top, or fan on top, not sure. But as long as this jumper isn't pulled out, then I can just basically feed one to feed both. So I don't actually need two connections tied into this point. I just need the one. You know, in retrospect, as I was doing this, I looked and I was like, you know, probably should have ordered a paddle switch, and I might have to go back in and change that. But since I ordered the cover plate and I ordered this in a box of like 10 because I'll be replacing the black ones around the house, again, the commercial grades, yeah, we're going with that. But since I used paddle here, I probably should have used paddle in the other one too. So cleaned up a little bit, show you what I've got here. It's actually a little worse than I thought. So yeah, I've got my burnt mark here, right here. This is my feed for the big light fixture up above. It sounds like I've only got 3 bulbs in it and they're LEDs now. But the jacket across the hot and the ground, both have melt points in the jacket where they've gotten hot and started to melt through the coating. And of course I've got oxidation on the ground line right in through here too. So this is what I think was my, I can get that back in focus for you. This is what I think was my line for the heater, baseboard heat, which is no longer in. And what you can see here is I've got this wire that's exposed, but that is actually the black jacket that was around it. And of course my ground and my neutral. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these out. I'll cap this one off, cap this off, tape off all 3, and just make it so those aren't even exposed inside the casing. Apologize, my battery died on me, so I didn't capture me actually installing and kind of running the electric. I wrapped the lines with electrical tape, each individually and then as a pair. Then I went ahead and ran, of course, new lines for the new switches. So they're all installed, and I'm actually running on the light in the bathroom right now, so they are functional. I've got to get the wall plate on though. When they put this in, I'm guessing that this plate was originally a single, and they kind of expanded it to make it a 3, because the wall plate actually does not fit over on this side. So they had actually channeled in, you can see a little bit right there where they channeled in to the framework of the door. I'm gonna have to widen that just a little bit more because the plate that I have for this is actually even a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna bring that out, and I don't want to just trim my plate because I'm gonna reuse the plate in another area. I did not realize that when I placed my order, this switch right here, the electric outlet, is not a GFCI, and I thought I had ordered a nightlight with a GFCI and I didn't. I'm gonna show you here though. Really cool. Love it for the bathroom. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to replace this one next week when I get the new one in. And I'm going to go ahead and replace this with a paddle switch so that the paddle switch kind of goes with this flat type design. So I'll be pulling this back out, and that's why I don't want to modify the wall plate. In the meanwhile, the other thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get a temperature rating on the wires in here to make sure that the short is not something that's a current short, that it was an old short. As I dug into it deeper, it looked like it was probably an old short of some type that just didn't get to the point where it tripped a breaker and just started getting really warm. And so I'm fairly certain we're good here. I took extra care to make sure that my neutral wires, my hot lines, and my grounds were fairly well separated from each other, especially that ground wire, because I think the ground wire, which is the thinnest wire in the set, was what was heating up. So those are nice and neatly tucked at the bottom. And my hot and neutrals are up here behind the switches at the top. So I did bring down another tool with me that I will use, and that is a laser-based temperature gun. So I will take a temperature reading on these lines and just make sure they're not getting warm. I'm going to go ahead and just take a reading, which I've got right around 80 degrees right now on that outlet. 78 on the surface of that one, 77. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I am going to hit this neutral line, or the ground, and I'm sitting right about the same temperature, 79. Kind of check my neutral back there, I'm 79, and just check some of my hot, look good. That all looks good. So let's fire up the fan. Right around 81, 82. Around 80. Check on the supply side. Running about the same. Check this neutral, ground. And we're running pretty good. So again, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just running the temperature check to make sure we're good, and I'm happy. So I'm going to get to trimming out this frame. Wall switch plate is on, and if you look at here, I will just touch that up a little bit when I get the new plate, and then when I actually get ready to paint this wall, I'll come through and touch that up again with a little bit of silicone to match, and it'll look like it was meant to be that way from the beginning. So that's it on the switch for now anyway. It is now Saturday morning, and I should have had this video up for you guys a couple days ago. So I'm going to close this video out. I have a chair that the back run broke off of, so I'm going to fix that, and I'll probably just film myself putting that back together and close it out with that. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Do all that like and subscribe stuff, and I will catch you on the next one.